The Thieves Gambit, Part 1. The brothel is an opulent palace of pleasure, draped in crimson and gold, with soft lantern light flickering against polished marble columns. The air is thick with the scent of incense, spiced wine, and the whispers of courtesans entwined with the melodies of a slow, haunting lute. You're reclined in a plush velvet chair, boots propped on a cushioned ottoman, a half-empty goblet of amber liquor cradled in your hand. The room hums around you, and a beautiful tiefling woman with ruby horns is leaning over your shoulder, murmuring scandalous secrets into your ear. Your senses, honed sharper than any blade, catch a disruption in the rhythm. The door to your chamber creaks open, and a group of 5 figures stumbles in, looking like they're trying to blend in with the lavish environment, but failing miserably. A half-orc with a patchy beard and oversized leather armor bumps into a marble statue and nearly knocks it over, saved by the quick reflexes of a wiry elf who darts forward to steady it. A gnome with wild copper hair and oversized goggles squints at you through a lens, while a human girl, perhaps just coming of age, is chewing her lip nervously. Behind them all, a towering lizard folk with iridescent scales glowers at anyone who glances their way, clearly the muscle of the group. The tiefling leans closer to your ear, her lips brushing your lobe as she murmurs, "Looks like trouble, darling. Shall I send them away?" You glance at the group, green as spring grass. They clearly don't know who they're dealing with. And yet, they've sought you out. You take a slow sip of your drink, savoring the rich burn, before setting the goblet down with a quiet clink. With a subtle flick of your fingers, the lute music shifts to a playful, mocking tune that dances through the air, and the tiefling, understanding your mood, straightens and drifts away, giving the intruders room. The half-orc clears his throat, then mutters, "Sigma, right? The Sigma? We got a job, and we need you. It's big." The gnome pushes to the front, eyes bright with excitement. "Biggest heist in the whole damn city. We're gonna rob the Black Vault." The elf hisses at him, swatting his arm. "Shut it. Don't just blurt it out." The human girl lowers her gaze awkwardly, shifting from foot to foot, while the lizard folk remain silent, watching you like a coiled viper. You smirk, leaning back into your chair, crossing one leg over the other. "The Black Vault, you say? Bold of you to dream so high. What makes you think you'll even get past the front gate without getting turned to ash?" The half-orc swallows hard, but his jaw sets with determination. "Because we got the key, the real one. But it's not enough. We need your help. We heard stories about how you got into the Emperor's treasury. Thought maybe you could show us how." You twirl your goblet, the faintest hint of amusement flickering in your eyes. "Why me? You've heard my exploits. Why would a legend like me waste his time on a bunch of scrappy amateurs?" The human girl speaks up, voice small but unwavering. "Because everyone else said no. You're our last shot." You appear to roll the thought over in your mind like a fine coin, weighing the risk against the prospect of a new story worth telling. A slow, sly grin spreads across your face. You set your goblet down with a decisive clink. "Fine, I'll hear you out. But if your plan's as half-baked as you look, I'm not sticking my neck out to save your skins. You got one chance to impress me. Start talking." The gnome's face lights up, and the others look like they can't believe their luck. They scramble to pull out a crumpled map, from a satchel, spreading it out on a low table. The black vault looms on the parchment, surrounded by layers of arcane glyphs and intricate defenses. The elf points at the side entrance. We scoped out the guards' rotations. There's a 15-minute window where the outer patrols switch off, and that's when we hit. The lizard is going to take out the sentries on the eastern wall while I cut the tripwires. The orc busts down the servant's door, and the gnome disables the arcane locks. Simple, right? You raise an eyebrow, eyeing the glaring flaws immediately. They're passionate, but reckless. Green to the bone. You chuckle, low and rich. Amateurs, you mutter. Let me show you how it's done. Sit your asses down and listen well. Unless you'd rather leave your bones rotting in a gutter somewhere. The thieves exchange glances, equal parts terrified and thrilled. They drop down eagerly, eyes glued to you as you begin sketching corrections on the map with a piece of charcoal, outlining a plan so flawless it's almost insulting how easy it seems when you explain it. After the new plan is made, you sit down and pluck your lute from the side of your chair, fingers gliding effortlessly over the strings. A haunting, melodious tune spills into the air, weaving through the room like a serpent. Smooth, hypnotic, irresistible. The young thieves visibly relax, their shoulders loosening as their expressions soften, caught in the spell of your music. The melody curls around them like smoke, and you let your voice slip in, low, coaxing, wrapped in a velvet tone. Now that you're in my den, little wolves, let's see your colors. One by one, tell me why you're here. Tell me what drove you to this reckless quest. The truth, mind you. Lies sour the strings, and I won't suffer my music to be tainted. The half-orc, the one who first spoke, stares at you, his eyes briefly clouding before he answers. My name's Garuk. Grew up in the slums near the Iron Quarter. My old man was a gladiator. Big, mean bastard who liked his drink too much. Used to beat the sense out of me whenever he was too deep in the bottle. One night, I fought back, knocked him out cold. When he came to, he just laughed, said I had guts. Trained me to fight after that. But he died a few years back, and his debts became mine. I just want enough gold to buy freedom. Maybe open my own fighting pit, where the fighters get treated decent. You nod slowly, letting the music dance around him before shifting your gaze to the wiry elf. The elf shifts uncomfortably, but the melody pulls the truth from his lips. Elowen, he mutters, his eyes darting to the others before locking back on you. Used to be in the Royal Rangers. Had a crew that patrolled the northern forests, protecting villages from goblin raids. One night we took in a group of refugees. They thought they were starving peasants, but they were spies, bandit scouts, led their chiefs right to us. They killed my crew while I was out hunting. Came back to blood and ashes. I haven't reported in for duty since. Thought if I pulled off a big score, I could leave that life behind and finally let go. You play a few more melancholy chords, giving the melody space to breathe. The human girl speaks next, voice wavering but brave. Name's Mara. Grew up in the orphanage near the river docks. They called me Little Snake, 'cause I was quick and quiet. Never knew my parents. Really never cared. But one day, I found a half-dead man in the alley. Saved him. Kept him alive. He said I had potential. Taught me how to sneak and lift purses. Been trying to prove myself ever since. Never been on a real job before. This heist, it's everything. The gnome is next, fiddling with his goggles before blurting out almost cheerfully, "Name's Blix. Used to work in the old steamworks till it exploded. Wasn't Blix's fault. Mostly, anyway. After that, nobody would hire me, 'cause apparently I'm volatile. I like figuring stuff out. Machines, locks, puzzles. I'm not really much of a thief. Just like making things work. And the heist? Biggest puzzle there is." Your tune shifts to something slower, almost primal, and the lizard folk grunts, his scales catching the firelight as his tongue flicks out. "Thorn," he growls, "my tribe, gone, burned by the soldiers of the city, hunting for rebels, fled into the sewers. I break things, kill threats, protect back. That's all." The music slowly fades, and with it the raw honesty slips back behind their wary eyes. They realize what just happened, glancing at each other in silence. You let the loot rest on your knee, a faint smile tugging at your lips. "Well, that's quite the motley pack you've put together. A bruiser with a heart, a ranger with a guilt to bury, a street snake looking for her first bite, a tinkerer who's got more enthusiasm than sense, and a lizard man looking to forge a new tribe. You're desperate, all of you. You're driven, but desperation makes fools. You'll be ash and dust without someone who knows how to make legend out of chaos." Garuk straightens up, determination burning in his eyes. "That's why we came to you, Sigma. We need someone who's seen it all. Someone who can turn our mess into a miracle." You pick up your goblet, take a long, slow drink, considering the ragtag crew before you. "All right, you've convinced me. You're green as grass and dumb as stones, but I've pulled off worse with less. But remember this, once we start, you follow my lead or I'll leave you to the wolves. Understood?" The group nods, excitement and fear mingling in their faces. With a flourish, you strike the lute again, a triumphant chord resounding. "Then let's pull off the greatest heist this city has ever seen." Part 2. Dawn spills golden light through the cracked arches of the old courtyard, filtering through vines and moss that cling to the weathered stones. A chill lingers in the air, but it doesn't bother you. You've faced worse discomforts in your time. You lean against a worn stone pillar, playing a soft, idle tune on your lute, your gaze flicking to the shadows as you wait for the crew to arrive. One by one, they filter in. Garuk and Thorn are first, their presence unmistakable as they stride through the archway. Garuk's got a fresh few bruises on his cheek and knuckles, but his grin is broad and satisfied. Thorn just nods, his reptilian eyes cold and unreadable. "Elwyn and I did some digging," Garuk says, wiping a bit of dried blood from his lip. "Got into a scrap with some off-duty Iron Watch at the tower. Bastards thought they could take us. Broke a few jaws. Elwyn set a few of the other recruits up to fail by swapping their drink with gut-rot whiskey. After that, the captain himself offered us jobs. We're on the roster for tonight's rotation. Me and Thorn both." Thorn grunts in agreement. "North Gate. Vault corridor. No suspicion. We blend." You nod approvingly. "Good. Garuk, play it like a cocky brute. Laugh off the hits. Act like you're too dumb to betray anyone. Thorn, keep being silent muscle. Nothing suspicious about a big lizard who doesn't talk much. Grook nods confidently, and Thorn just grunts again. Next, Eloin slips in like a shadow, barely making a sound. He gives a curt nod, looking more alert than usual. While Grook was making a show, I slipped a guard roster from the captain's pocket. The Iron Watch runs 4 shifts, with 24 guards rotating in and out. The vault corridor is 2 stationed at all times. They do swaps every 4 hours, but half the guards hit the tavern before rotations. Vault room itself has 3 stationed at the door, high-ranking officers only. We're on for the shift when the captain does his round. You smirk. Good. We'll make sure he's too busy to notice a thing when the time comes. Mara and Blix come in together, both looking surprisingly chipper, given the mission. Mara immediately drops to a crouch and pulls a folded parchment from her belt. Got the rumors circulating. Word is the Iron Watch scored a pair of gladiator legends who broke out of the blood arena in Shadrach. We made sure it sounded like they're too stubborn and wild to follow orders. Exactly the kind of muscle the captain would take on a whim. Blix bounces on his toes, goggles slightly askew. And I found a maintenance roster. Turns out they're having trouble with some of the steam pipes in the lower corridor. Got myself on the list as a specialist from the steamworks to handle the pipes tonight. I can get into the vault room under the pretense of checking for the pipe leaks. You nod, impressed by how well they've taken to their roles. The plan is falling into place smoother than you anticipated, but you're too experienced to relax just yet. Right, you say, flicking a stray lock of hair out of your eyes. We'll make our move during the captain's round. Blix, you get in there and take a good look at those locks. Get the runes memorized and signal me when you've got it. Mara, you're on our runner between positions. Keep us updated if anything changes. Eloin steps forward, his brow furrowed. What if the captain catches on? You grin, strumming a sly chord on your lute. Then I'll give him a performance so legendary he won't remember his own name by the end of it. You just stick to your roles. Don't lose your heads. Mara glances at you, clearly a little nervous. And if it goes wrong? You meet her gaze, your smile unwavering. It won't. But if it does, you scatter and run. Don't try and fight. Guards like that will cut you down before you can blink. Trust me, I'll cover your escape. There's a moment of silence as the gravity of it sinks in. You glance around the group, seeing the spark of ambition burning brighter than fear in their eyes. You've seen that look countless times. Green horns on the edge of greatness or ruin. All right, you say, tucking your lute over your shoulder. We meet back here at midnight to finalize the strike. Keep your heads low. Don't draw attention. And remember, if anything feels off, pull out. We'll plan another time. With that, the crew disperses, each one slipping back into their roles. You watch them go, a familiar tingle of anticipation thrumming through your veins. It's been too long since you felt this rush, the thrill of setting a stage where everything can go to hell or ascend to legend. When they're gone, you take one last look at the rising sun, whispering to the air, here's to another song worth singing. You head back into the city, every sense sharpened, every instinct primed. Tonight, you'll pull off the heist or make history by dying trying. Either way, it'll be one hell of a story. The city hums with the restless energy of nightfall. Torches flicker in iron sconces along the streets, and the black vault looms like an obsidian monolith against the moonlit sky. You and your crew gather at the edge of the guard barracks, cloaked in shadow, each of you blending into the night in your own way. The distant murmur of the Iron Watch at the tavern drifts over the wind, punctuated by bursts of laughter and clinks of mugs. Grook and Thorn are already in uniform, sporting the dark steel armor of the Iron Watch with helmets tucked under their arms. Grook flashes you a grin, looking every bit the cocky brawler. Thorn is stoic, his tail barely twitching, muscles coiled like a spring. Elowen is crouched, low on a rooftop, bow ready but hidden from view. He gives you a subtle nod, signaling the perimeter is clear. Mara is in the alley, ready to act as the runner, while Blix adjusts his tool belt, the lenses of his goggles gleaming faintly in the low light. You take a deep breath, letting the anticipation soak in. You give Garuk a curt nod, and he and Thorn saunter toward the main gate, weapons casually slung over their shoulders. The guards give them a glance but wave them through without a second thought. The reputation you crafted for them is already doing its work. Blix scurries around the side, adjusting his Steamworks Specialist badge as he moves toward the maintenance entrance. You know he'll need just 15 minutes to get a good look at the lock mechanisms. Mara moves like a whisper, slipping through the side alleys to keep eyes on both entrances. Once the guards clear from the main gate, you slip through, blending in like you've been part of the scenery all along. You move effortlessly into the shadows, near the vault corridor, positioning yourself just within earshot. Inside the vault corridor, Grook and Thorn are stationed at the far end of the corridor, looking bored but alert. The Iron Watch captain, a burly man with a jagged scar over his left eye, walks up to them, nodding approvingly. "Heard you two smashed half the tavern brawlers last night," the captain grunts, folding his arms. "Good. We need men who aren't afraid to get bloody. Keep your eyes sharp. Been some whispering about unrest near the guild quarters." Grook grins, giving a nonchalant shrug. "Ain't nothing we can't handle, Cap. If someone's stupid enough to poke the vault, we'll crush 'em." Thorn just nods, letting his imposing presence speak for itself. The captain glances down the hall, oblivious to you lurking in the shadows. You watch him check his pocket watch and mutter something about his inspection round. This is your cue. You play a soft, almost imperceptible melody on your lute, one that clouds the mind, making him feel like he's forgotten something important. The captain grunts and shakes his head, mumbling, damn paperwork. Can't forget the logbook." He turns on his heel and marches off, leaving the corridor under Garuk and Thorn's watch. In the maintenance room, Blix sneaks into the vault chamber under the guise of inspecting the leaking steam pipe. One of the elite guards eyes him suspiciously, but is too busy cursing the heat and wiping sweat from his forehead. Blix pulls out a small inspection lens, pretending to examine the pipe while actually peering at the complex arcane runes engraved around the vault door. He mutters under his breath, memorizing the shifting patterns and rhythm of the runes. All right. Rotating every 12 seconds. 7 layers, 1 central key rune. Gotcha! With a quick, subtle flourish, he makes a tiny chalk mark on the floor, your signal that he's ready. You catch sight of it and send a light foot tap along the floor, a message to Mara, who sends the signal back to Elowen. The distraction phase. Elowen loses an arrow into the ground near the outer wall, setting off a small smoke bomb. Panic erupts as the outer guards rush to investigate. The few guards left in the corridor glance at each other, debating whether to leave. Grook takes the initiative, barking, "You two, go secure the outer gate. We got this covered." The guards hesitate, but with Garuk's authoritative tone and Thorn's menacing glare, they comply and rush off. The corridor is clear. Inside the vault room, Blix signals that the rune pattern is in place. You move up to the vault door, and Blix, now at your side, pulls out a set of fine-tuned lockpicks and a shimmering gem set into a brass holder. "It's got to synchronize with the key rune," he whispers. You hum a quiet tune, your voice harmonizing with the hum of the arcane ward. Blick slides the gem into a slot, and it glows faintly, pulsing in time with the ruins. The lock clicks, and the vault door shudders open with a metallic groan. Inside, the wealth of the city gleams, piles of coin, jewelry, enchanted relics. You make a beeline for the items you need: the royal seal, a slack, black, leather-bound book, embossed with the golden crest, and a heavy sack of gold coins. You sweep them into your pack with practiced speed. Blix grabs a few jeweled trinkets, his hands shaking with excitement. We're actually doing it! Before you can respond, the sound of footsteps echoes down the hall. You curse under your breath. Elowen's warning tap comes to the stone. Someone's coming. You jerk your chin towards the escape route. Go! Now! Blix nods and slips through the maintenance door. Karuk and Thorn leave their posts as casually as possible, regrouping in the courtyard. Mara meets you up as you take one last glance at the vault before slipping into the shadows. The escape route. As you dart through the drainage tunnels, you hear the alarm bell toll above. They found the vault open. The guards are shouting, running in all directions. You push through the slimy water, guiding the group down the winding path to River Grate. Thorn wedges his claw into the grate and wrenches it open with a groan of metal. One by one, you slide through and drop into the riverbank, hidden by reeds and shadows. You can hear the Iron Watch rallying above, but have no line of sight on your group. Once everyone's out, you slide the grate shut and take a deep breath, adjusting your pack and giving a short, satisfied laugh. Karuk slaps you on the back. We did it! Damn, Sigma! I thought we were dead back there. You just grin, wiping muck from your boots. Welcome to your first legend, boys and girls. One for the bards to sing about. Blix is practically vibrating with excitement, and Mara leans against the stone wall, catching her breath, grinning despite herself. Elowen watches the tunnel with his bow half drawn, while Thorn merely rumbles his approval. You pull the black book from your pack and flip through it, noting the names, deaths, and incriminating details. You can already see how to use this to your advantage. A few key names stand out. You tuck it back into your pack and turn to the crew. Well, congratulations. You're no longer just thieves. You're legends in the making. Let's get the hell out of this city before they catch on. With dawn approaching, you slip downriver, your crew more alive than they've ever been, hungry for more, and hanging on your every word. And somewhere in the distance, the city wakes to realize it's been robbed by the most infamous bard to ever live. Part 3. The shanty town sprawls out along the muddy riverbank, a labyrinth of crooked shacks and sagging rooftops, crammed between rickety docks and narrow alleyways. The scent of smoke and stale ale hangs thick in the air. You guide the crew through the maze of drunken dock workers and beggars to a dingy inn called the Broken Flagon. You toss a few gold coins onto the counter, and the innkeeper's eyes widen with greed. We'll take the whole upper floor for the night, you say, flashing him a disarming smile. And tell the cook, bring out whatever's still edible. The man nods and shuffles off to prepare the rooms, while the crew piles into the tavern area. Word travels fast, and soon enough the place is bustling with locals eager to see who's throwing coin around like water. You pick a prime spot by the hearth, casually strumming your lute as the crew gathers around, mugs of ale already in hand. Blix is wide-eyed and giddy, babbling about the gear he's going to buy and the gadgets he'll invent. I'll build the best damn smoke traps this side of the continent, he boasts. maybe even pocket-sized flame spitter. Imagine that! Garuk, already half drunk, slaps him on the back. Flame spitter? You'll burn your own ass off. Me, I'm opening that fighting pit I always talked about. Hell, I'll buy the whole tavern back home and run it with my fists. Elwyn raises a mug, his face uncharacteristically relaxed. I think I'll just buy a plot of land. Quiet place. Somewhere in the hills. Maybe build my own ranger camp. Train some new blood. Teach them how not to get stabbed in the back. Thorn sits at the edge of the firelight, sipping his drink with calculated caution. I buy boat. Hunt on water. Take to sea. Smell salt. Good. Mara leans back with a wry smile, sipping her drink and listening to them brag and dream. She catches your eye and gives a subtle nod. You return it. Just a flick of your fingers over the strings. After a few ruckus songs and some body tales, you slip into a slower, deeper melody, a tune that soothes and quiets the room like a comforting embrace. One by one, the patrons lean back, pulled into a hazy, dreamlike state. Your crew doesn't even notice the spell threading through the notes. They're too busy celebrating, too relaxed to realize they're being gently pushed towards sleep. Later that night, one by one, you move with silent grace, slipping from room to room. Garuk is sprawled on his bed, boots still on, snoring like a bear. You hum a few quiet bars, and he sinks deeper into slumber, utterly defenseless. His coin pouch practically falls into your hands. Next is Blix, his goggles still strapped to his forehead, snoring in a pile of blankets. You hum a tune to deepen his sleep, carefully extracting his share from his belt pouch. You pause, just long enough to ruffle his hair affectionately. He was entertaining, in his own reckless way. Elwyn is next. Sprawled on his back, a knife in one hand even in sleep. You play a softer, more melancholic tune, and his grip loosens. You carefully pry the blade from his hand and pocket his coin without a sound. Finally, you step into Thorn's room. The lizard folk sleeps with his back against the door, but your magic had been thorough, and he barely stirs as you hum a low, rumbling melody. You ease his share from his pack, careful not to disturb the sharpened bone trinkets he keeps as charms. In Mara's room. You slip into Mara's room last, and she's awake, waiting for you with her feet up on the windowsill. She smirks as you enter, giving you a slow clap. Took your sweet time, she teases. You grin, setting your pack on the floor. Couldn't rush the artistry. Besides, they were out cold. Never knew what hit them. She hops down from the windowsill and crosses the room to you. You think they'll be mad when they wake up? Oh, they'll be mad all right. But by then, they'll be on their way to the gallows. Once the guild gets here, they'll have their hands full. Mara arches an eyebrow. You sure the guildmaster will pay up? These guys aren't exactly prime targets. You pull a folded parchment from your belt, tossing it to her. Bounties are bounties. Grook's wanted for manslaughter back in the pits. Thorn's got a list of dead merchants to his name. Elwyn? Turns out deserting the Royal Rangers carries a hefty price. Even Blix is wanted for arson from that steamworks explosion. The guild master was more than happy to take them off our hands, and double the bounty if we hand them over pacified. She chuckles, tucking the paper into her coat. And they thought they were getting rich. You give her a sly look. They did get rich. Just not as rich as we did. A knock at the door. 3 short raps. You open it to reveal the guildmaster. A tall, wiry woman with piercing green eyes and a cruel smile. Her crew fans out behind her, armed and eager. They're all asleep upstairs, you tell her, pacified and ready for the cages. Don't rough 'em up too much. They made it easy on us. The guildmaster snorts, flipping a hefty pouch of gold into your hand. Business is business, Bard. They're just another haul to us. Mara swings her pack over her shoulder, and you both step out into the night as the guild moves in to collect the unconscious thieves. You take one last look back at the inn, hearing Garuk's distant snores and Blix's muttered sleep-talking. Mara mounts up on the sleek black stallion, and you swing into the saddle of your own dappled mare. She smirks at you, brushing her red out of her eyes. You play a short, bright melody on your lute, and the horses start trotting towards the road. Together, you and Mara vanish into the night, leaving behind the guild, the doomed thieves, and the tavern now filled with the dreams of wealth that were never come. You play a jaunty tune on your lute as the road stretches out ahead, the dawn just beginning to creep over the horizon. The gallows at Greyhold Square. The sky over Greyhold is a choked, iron-gray smear of clouds, heavy with the scent of rain and blood. Bells toll slowly in the distance, 4 of them, one for each of the condemned. The city square is packed. Merchants, nobles, beggars, and cutthroats alike jostle for a view. The gallows stand tall at the center, 4 ropes swaying gently in the wind like serpents hungry for necks. Garuk stands first in line, wrist shackled, shirt torn, and a fresh bruise forming over one eye. His expression is still more confused than angry. "Where the hell is Sigma?" he mutters, his voice raw. "He said we had an escape plan." Next to him, Elowin's sharp eyes scan the crowd, jaw clenched. "None of this makes sense. We made no mistakes. Someone sold us out." His voice is quiet, shaking not from fear, but from dawning realization. Blix, shorter than the others, trembles as he looks down at the dirty platform beneath him. This can't be happening," he stammers. "I didn't even kill anyone. I am not even a thief." Thorn stands silently, scales dull under the gray sky. His yellow eyes blink slowly. The lizard folk does not speak, but he breathes heavier than usual, a slow hiss of confusion escaping his snout. From the wooden stairs, the guild executioner appears, hooded, silent, merciless. 4 assistants follow, each holding a sealed parchment. The charges: conspiracy, grand theft from the crown, evasion, and assault on the royal vault. The charges are read aloud to the crowd. No one speaks in the square, not a whisper. Elowin twists at his bonds. "We didn't assault anyone. We were in and out, clean." "They don't care," Garuk says bitterly. "This was a setup, a clean handoff. They needed bodies to hang, and we were perfect. No ties, no questions." Blix begins to cry, frantic now. "Sigma said we were legends. He said we'd made it." Thorn growls something in his native tongue, something that sounds like a curse and a prayer fused together. The guards step forward. The ropes are placed over their necks. Elowin turns his head toward the crowd one last time, eyes sharp, scanning. "If you're out there, Sigma," he says quietly, "I'll see you in the afterlife, and I'll slit your throat." The trapdoors drop. Garuk's neck snaps clean. Elowin's feet kick once, then go still. Thorn's body twitches before settling into silence. Blix dies slowly, choking, eyes wide with the shock and betrayal as the light fades from them. The bells toll again, 4 times. The crowd begins to disperse. The executioner already untying the ropes. The city going back to its business. In a high window above the square, behind tinted glass, a shadow plays his lute across from a beautiful tiefling woman with ruby horns sipping wine. Mara stands beside Sigma, her expression unreadable. He strums a gentle chord on his lute, his voice soft and remorseless. They were good kids, he says, but loose ends make messy songs. Mara doesn't respond. She simply watches the gallows until the square is empty. The end.